Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Queen's Club for tonight's second quarter-final of this year's British Amateur Championships. We will have live tennis for you all week this week. We've had the first of our quarter-finalists from the top half of the draw determined in the earlier match. That was between Robert Schenkman, the #1 seed, and Will Flynn. And now we have the first quarter-final in the bottom half of the draw. The other match on this side of the draw will be played tomorrow, and that match will be between James Medlow and Jamie Douglas. We had the doubles semi-finals yesterday. That was a fantastic pair of matches, just two matches lasting combined 6.5 hours, finishing well past midnight. But we are perhaps on track for a slightly earlier finish tonight, as we are starting this one just about to time. There was a short delay as Rory was finding his way to the court. That last match finished, that last set, in about 13 minutes. So I think he was a bit surprised to have to come on quite so soon. Probably a bit settled down, relaxed into thinking that he had probably another 15 to 20 minutes to prepare. Well, but they are now knocking up and play will be underway shortly. So a quick reminder of the schedule. We will have the second two quarterfinals for you tomorrow evening. That will be live here on the T&RA media channel. And then the semi-finals will take place. One semi-final will be on Thursday evening, and one semi-final will be on a Friday evening. Do check the T&RA website for all of the timings for that. And then the doubles final, which we do know the two pairs for, will be on Saturday at 2:30. And the singles final will be on a Sunday, also at 2:30. So do check the T&RA website for all the results, all the match details. And again, if you are in the London area and you want to see some fantastic tennis, especially on the weekend, do come down. There is no admission charge here for the matches this week. So let's introduce the players. This is Rory Giddins. This tournament, he is the #5 seed, but he is playing in the #4 seed spot because Bertie Vallet had to withdraw. So Giddins gets promoted into that 4th seed spot. He's currently playing off a handicap of 11.4, which he's been at for a little while, especially since he played varsity for Oxford. And he has recently been crowned, I believe for the second time, the British Amateur Rackets Champion. So he is looking at this week to do the double of both real tennis and rackets. His career highlights there. Made the first round of that British Open in 2019. Then reached this stage of this tournament last year. That's his best performance at the amateur. The form guide recently has been playing in that Paul Roger Trophy for Queen's Club, with a loss to the Australian superstar Ollie Pridmore, but beating James Watson at RTC.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Neil McKenzie keen to get us going, so I'll just quickly introduce his opponent for this evening. Philip Dunn, 39 years old, from RTC, of a handicap of 14.2 at the present time. Here highlights, you can see his progression up the handicap over the course of about the last decade, starting in that Category C championship, moving through the Category B, and then club championships at both Hollyport and RTC, that Barker Cup, that RTC championship. And then recent matches also playing Paul Roger Trophy for RTC, 2 home matches against Bertie Vallet and Matt Potter. The head-to-head between them, 1 match, again still in the Paul Roger Trophy, that's the team competition, and that match went to Rory Giddins in 3 sets back in 2022. So we'll be in the hands of our marker, Neil McKenzie, who stayed up till well after midnight last night doing all the marking. He's got the job again tonight. Just as the players make their final preparations. Underway very shortly.
All right. Quarter-final of the 2024 British Amateur Singles. It's a best of 5 set match. First set, love all. Love. Love. Chase, Western 2, 30 love. Western 2. Oh.
So Philip starting out, trying that drag serve. Been a bit long so far, still needs to find that range.
Western 2, Hazard second, 30 love.
You heard the bells ring, but that is just the shockwaves of the ball through the gallery netting. It is a hazard chase, and so we will see Giddins serve for the first time this match. Giddins was in action yesterday, of course. He played his doubles semi-final, partnered with Will Flynn. They played against Nick James and Richard Elmett, and they won that match in 4 sets.
Chase off. 30 love, second gallery. 40 love, receiver lead. Chase. 2 yards. 40 love.
One of the features we saw in that match yesterday, in the doubles match, is partnered with Will Flynn. Will Flynn dominantly taking the back of the court, and the success or otherwise of the Flynn-Giddins pair seemed to come down to just how well Giddins was hitting, or otherwise the first set, which they lost. Giddins made plenty of unforced errors, but then seemed to get into it as the patch went on.
Every game or every other?
Lost it. First game, 1 love. Every game.
Okay.
You just hear Neil McKenzie in the background giving instructions as club pro to one of the club members here at Queen's Club for a match that's about to commence on the West Court.
Love.
Queen's Club, of course, fortunate to have 2 courts in operation which we saw at the Open for the first time this year, with the first few games of one match and then another complete match taking place on the West Court for the first time. That's due to the court's sweating. One wonders if we might see that appear a bit more in the schedule in years to come as these matches get closer and closer.
West from the last gallery, 15 all.
So yeah, in that British Open on the Monday, in the day that finished at well past midnight, we saw Bryn Sayers take on Lewis Williams on the West Court. What I believe was a 3-love victory to Bryn.
Better than the yard, worse than the last.
Both players were just happy to have it be played and not have to start their match at half past midnight and continue well into the early hours of the morning. And of course, we saw the start of another match there at the beginning of the day between Schenkman and Yorston. The first few games of that were played on the West Court.
15 all, worse than last
And then
gallery.
switched over to the East Court for the remainder of the match.
$30-15, Hazard chase, better than one. Hazard. $40-15. That's a nice point. One game all.
And that's the first really long rally of the match. And it just ends with Giddins tickling that main wall and the base of the timbre. We are at one game all. You imagine as the rallies get longer, that favours Rory.
15 love. I got it.
Gets a bit of luck on that point. Yeah, Rory tends to love playing that backhand to backhand rally. So he will be able to play that all day long.
15 all.
So he just lets that one go into the dead. And we saw that a lot in the doubles yesterday. There were plenty of balls which were dead on height, very clearly going in there. He just seemed to leave alone and just be content with them running in there.
$30-15. $40-15 chase. Better than you thought.
So this is Rory's first match of the draw. The seeded players coming in at the quarterfinal stage. Should just mention that he, on the draw, it says he is the 5th seed. That's because of a withdrawal
40-15 receiver, better than
after the draw was
draw.
published by Bertie Vallet. So the rules are if a seed, Bertie was 4th seed, so if a seed pulls out, then the next best player moves into that seeded position.
And that's game. 2 games to 1.
The reason that that is done is just to prevent any bizarre matchups going into quarterfinals, into semi-finals, and people perhaps earning ranking points and the like, and they don't really, and they're only there because of the fortune of not having to run up against a seed.
That's a nice shot. 15 love. All. $30-15. Second gallery, 30-15.
But Dunn still sticking with this drag type serve. It's probably not a conventional drag. It's a little bit deeper. It doesn't have quite the same amount of backspin to it. So this is Dunn's second match of this tournament. He played way back on Friday against Richard Elmett. And he won that match in 5 sets. That was 3-6, 5-6, 6-4, 6-1, 6-3. So an epic battle there. And given that was back on last Friday,
second gallery,
he has had plenty of time to recover. This British amateur tournament, geez, it goes on quite a long while. Sorry, second gallery chase. Because it's the amateur, most of these players will have day jobs, so they can't play during the 9 to 5 hours. So most of the matches come on weekends and evenings. Which is something we see perhaps a bit more commonly at the other end of the building on the rackets courts. Both the rackets singles and doubles championships similarly only played outside of those working hours.
Trace the line, 30-40.
Speaking of the rackets courts, I recently saw a fantastic run of form at the rackets by Freddie Bristow, coming through a bunch of seeded players to run into that final against Ben Corsten. Ben Corsten bringing home his second British Open title. Rackets is a game that Rory is definitely trying to make inroads into.
Worse than 2 yards. Juice.
The next big tournament on the UK rackets fixture list.
Advantage worse than 2.
Next big tournament on the UK rackets fixture list will be the British Open doubles. That will be here at the Queen's Club in the month of April. We have seen a couple of North American events in the meantime, with the Tuxedo Gold racket about to start. That's with both
Worse than 2 yards.
real tennis and a racket. So plenty of people making their way up to Tuxedo for that tournament. Best of luck to all of you
Second serve.
who are out there at Tuxedo.
Juice. West of the door. Juice.
You're playing against Rory Giddins, it's so important to get an early lead. There's a tendency to, if he feels like he's struggling, to throw away points. Can't let him get a big advantage up on you.
Advantage.
As Dunn just loses his racket there, opting to try and throw his racket at the ball. So just a comment on the rules. If that ball somehow were to bounce off his racket and go over the net, because he's not maintaining contact with the racket, not holding the racket, it would not count as a valid stroke. Worse than the door chase now.
That's game 3-1.
And that railroad is way too loose, too easy for Rory to place it into that forehand corner. Oh, and Giddins is down. Just going to sit there for a bit, hoping he's okay. He fell mostly on his backside. Bit of a slide. Fortunately, didn't look like he hit his head or anything into that wall. Just sticking his legs up straight in the air. Looks good to continue though. Let's hope he's okay.
Love. That's a lovely shot. 1 and 2, 30 love.
Still not entirely convinced that this drag serve is the right serve to Rory Giddins. Bag is quite deep. It comes off that back wall. It is spinning towards the centre of the court. That's a lot better. That's a lot shallower. Yeah, if that drag is deep, the spin is going to take it towards the centre of the court. That gives Rory lots of options to place it. Rory's not the kind of player who brings his own power all that much to it. He doesn't have those big weapons of the force like we saw with Will Flynn earlier, or even Rob Shankman in the earlier match. He's much happier to look to craft it into the corners.
40 love receiver.
And when that drag is deeper, he has options into both corners. But 1 and 2 chase now.
15-40.
Rory has been exceptional this evening at putting away those balls off the penthouse. Well, that's unfortunate. That's just
Game.
come
2
off
games
the
to 3.
ledge of that last gallery. But yeah, in general, I think Rory's kill shots have just been a little bit too much for Phil so far this match.
15 love.
As this match progresses, you'd expect Rory's unforced error count to come down.
15 all.
Make it just a little bit harder for Dunn.
The door. 15 all.
Yeah, Dunn under pressure the whole way through that particular rally. I suspect even if Rory can't find the winner on that first shot, there's always that second and that third, which is coming with venom at the moment. So often in these long matches, we see the early exchanges be quite close, and then one player seems to run away with it. And this could very well be the case with Rory going into this the second half of this first set.
Receiver, chase the door. Game. 4 games to 2.
The drag is still looking very deep from Dunn.
Second serve.
Rory really had options on that previous point. Chase was the door to boast it short.
15 love.
That ball just hitting the top of the out-of-court line at the top of the timbre.
Oh.
Hence it's called out of court by Neil McKenzie. Stood there marking at the net.
30-50. $40-15. Dunn, 6 yard. 40-15.
Just on that drag serve, Dunn is serving it relatively deep. We saw Bertie Vallet, who plays a lot here at Queen's Club, serving that drag serve fairly successfully at the British Open this year. I think Bertie tends to get it a little bit, maybe a plank or two higher and probably a gallery or so shorter on the penthouse. I'll continue that thought after this point.
Game server, 5 games to 2.
Bertie's drag tends not to run into the problem of the dip that is in this Queen's Club penthouse.
Takes worse than 5.
So Queen's Club penthouse above the winning gallery has a little bit of a dip in it, a bit of a slight deformation. And the bottom plank isn't quite the same angle as the rest of the planks on the penthouse. Not nearly as severe as, say, Hollyport's famous ski slope.
Last gallery, worse than 5, last gallery.
But what I think that's the combination of those things is meaning is that Dunn's drag is just sticking on that penthouse an extra bounce or two longer. And it just means there's a little bit less spin on it, and it's a little bit deeper when it comes to the back wall. Whereas where Bertie Vallet has success with his drag, it holds it a lot shorter, much closer to the first bounce at around that stroke line, sorry, the fault line on the service penthouse. That will drag very deep. So Vallet's drag tends to come off a lot shorter and stick down with that battery wall a lot more. That being said, Dunn's points haven't really come on his serve. He's come from wrestling the point from Giddins midway through the rally. Giddins still looks stronger on his immediate return of serve.
Nope. 15-13.
Then Dunn is just causing a few uncertainties in and around that timbre area. That's a great pickup by Giddins midway through that rally. He was at full extension and just gets the top tip of his racket onto it. And that brings up his first set point of the match.
And the first set, 6 games
Rory
to 2.
Giddins takes the first set.
Level.
It's a little bit tentative at first, but it is coming very smoothly now for the British Rackets Amateur Champion. First 6-2 set was 2-all, and it just seems to be running away with it just that little bit more now.
Worse than 3. Level. 15 love.
And most of Dunn's points coming from causing that uncertainty around the timbre.
Oh.
Giddins isn't really pressing for chases at this point. He's just letting the points come as they do.
Second, Western 3, second gallery.
So looking at the comments, Josh King says, shout out to the Hollyport ski slope. Josh, I'd be very interested to hear from you how you think a drag works at Hollyport or not. Does that ski slope help out that drag serve? I'm not sure it's one that I think you serve all that often. But how different is it serving that drag on that Hollyport ski slope? How do you adjust your spin on the ball?
Western 3? Western 3, thank you. 15 all.
Sorry, worse than 3 chase here.
$30-15, second gallery. All.
That's an unfortunate one. Just spun back in towards that main wall, that timbre wall, just at the last moment. That's why Dunn framed that ball.
40-30. Juice.
Very keen on seeing an unforced error count of Giddins. I feel like it is part of his game that he really needs to clamp down on.
Receiver shot. Better than 2 hazard. Juice.
So comment back from Josh King in the chat. He's seen drag serves start to come off the roof and then climb back up at Hollyport. A great serve at Hollyport Real Tennis Club. He wishes he could serve it. Well, wouldn't we all like to be able to drag the ball around as if it was on a string? Such a tight serve to do. That is very deep.
Juice. Receives advantage.
I'll still maintain that the best drag serve going around at the moment is Leah van der Zwalmen. Her drag serves a backhand drag. Very typically just one bounce.
Game. One love. One game.
Just one bounce on the penthouse and falling so close to that battery wall. something that you really see all that much in the men's game. So there are a few, as I mentioned earlier. Bertie Vallett served it very well at the British Open this year.
Hazard chase, 7.5 yards.
That was very close to being a stroke. Dunn can consider himself unlucky, and he has moved away from that drag serve now. We're going to see some high serves. Giddins has boasted that. He has boasted that off of the ledge of the winning gallery. He's spun, looped up and over the net somehow. Like to see him do that again. See if he could. I doubt if he could. So it's this second set now. This is the British Amateur live from the Queen's Club. This is the second quarterfinal. We will have 2 more quarterfinals for you tomorrow evening.
Husband. Love receiver, worse than 6. So, 15 all.
First of those quarterfinals will kick off at 5:45 between James Medlow and Jamie Douglas.
Had to be. Had 30-15.
So that ball,
30-15 serve.
players agreeing that it hit the post.
30-15 serve.
You couldn't really see as he was ducking out of the way. Everybody seems to be happy.
30 all. $40-30. Two games to love, Severleys. 2 love.
And Rory Giddins takes a 2-love lead now in this second set. He looks very comfortable. That's 6 games in a row for him.
15 love.
Not being pushed too hard.
Second gallery, 15 love.
Not really having to cross the court with all that much pace at the moment. It's all just a little bit easy.
Last gallery, 2 Jason. 15 love.
Let's have a quick look at some of the statistics from that first set. That set completed in 28 minutes and is a really dominant set from Rory Giddins there, winning 63% of the points on serve.
15
And
love.
still another 59% of points at that
Second
receiving
gallery.
end. Pretty convincing set for Rory. That is a great shot by Dunn there. Just getting the perfect pace on it. Dying several feet before that back wall. I'm going to continue to see the high serves.
15-30.
Not a particular good high serve. And back to that drag.
First gallery, 15-30.
Doing that first bounce, the drag is very deep.
Oh. $40-15, chase the first gallery.
Yeah, so we will have matches for you tomorrow. There's the remaining quarter-final matches. At 5:45, we'll have Medlow and Douglas. Medlow performed very well in that doubles semi-final yesterday with his partner Max Truman. So he's already booked a final against one of the players here tonight, Rory Giddins. And then that
40-15.
second quarter-final tomorrow will be between Jamie Giddins, Rory's brother, and Benedict Yorston, who is the Radley player who's played varsity for Oxford for the past few years. Remember right, Yorston had a bit of time off with an injury and is looking to now push his way in towards those single-figure handicaps at the top of the amateur game. So that just sneaks into the bottom of the grill. All too easy for Rory Giddins at the moment.
Service advantage. Juice. Advantage. Server.
Oh, called not up. It was very close to the ground. Eagle eyes there by our marker, Neil McKenzie. He is hoping that this doesn't go for another late one. It was here until the early hours of the morning, marking last night.
5 advantage.
As Dunn comes back down this end. He still really hasn't figured out a good way to stop Rory with the advantage of the serve. Though once he's in the rally, he is making good use of that timbre. Rory doesn't often volley off the timbre. Maybe it's a product of being at Oxford for many years. It's a very hard timbre to volley off of.
That's a nice shot. Service advantage.
Tends to take a lot off that battery wall, and if the ball isn't there, then he can get himself into a little bit of trouble sometimes.
Juice.
To Dunn's credit, he is making Rory work for the points a little bit more now. That first set, Rory seemed to find a winner from anywhere.
Receives advantage. Shot.
2 dead-ons in a row. That brings his tally to 4.
Game. 3 games to love. 3 love.
Rory just testing Dunn's volley a bit there. It's not the strongest part of his game. That drag is very long. That hits the back wall on the full.
Oh.
He's got that better length, but he just hasn't quite found that line. He's bring both of those two together.
Love.
Back to the high serve. Seen it a few times. It's gone onto the back penthouse quite a few times. Very easy ball for Giddins there.
30-50.
Seem to see an interrogation of that volley.
All. Better than that.
So as we are now midway through this second set, yeah, at the British Amateur live from the Queen's Club. Let's give a hint as to all the tennis coming your way over the next few months. We'll have the US Open on the USCTA YouTube channel. That will be starting, I believe, next week.
Better than the 40-30. Better than the last.
Then come March, the attention of the tennis world turns to Australia for the Bathurst Cup.
Game 1-3.
Dunn makes his first incursion onto the scoreboard in this second set. It's a product of being able to maintain the service end for a little while.
15 love.
But now Giddins has the serve again and is going to start to ask questions around that timbre area.
15 all.
I'm just making Giddins run around a bit here. Really pushed him from side to side much this match, so it's good to see that starting to come through. Dunn is very committed to playing off the timbre there. He is well back off that timbre. Or he can just bring the pace just a little bit off and miss that timbre. It might even be a winner shot.
40-30.
A little bit of awareness, understanding where your opponent is positioning for it. Dunn's playing for the timber every shot. Then you have the option just to start one underneath.
Game. 4-1, server leads 4-1.
Yeah, so the attention of the world will turn to Australia in March for the Bathurst. There will also be the second Ladies Bathurst, featuring the rest of the world team versus the UK. And that will be followed up by the Australian Ladies Open down in Hobart. Which promises to be a fantastic field down there. Tennis then returns to the UK and here to Queen's Club in April for the IRTPA Super League. Promises a fresh new format for National League this year for the Premier Division.
No, post. Door. Post.
We will also have the British Ladies Open live from Seacourt at the beginning of April. Also here at the Queen's Club will be the British Open Rackets Doubles. Expect to see Rory Giddins participating in that. I'm not exactly sure who his partner will be, but something that he is working towards.
$30.50.
And to top it all off, we will have the Ladies Rackets World Championship at the end of April. There is plenty more tennis and rackets to come this year. And in the middle of all that, we'll have the Category A Championships from Manchester. That will also be the second half of April.
$40.15, chase the door.
So I encourage you, do come and watch some high quality tennis and rackets over the course of the next few months all around the world. There is plenty of fantastic quality sport, both in person and live here on T&RA Media Channel.
Ask a shot. Game receiver 5-1.
So they got stuck in a little bit of a juice game a few moments ago, but Giddins has now extended out his lead in this set to 5-1.
15 love.
I think Dunn has only really looked in it when he's been down this serving end, and that's not a quality of the, not I think due to the serving, but just when the rally does get going, being able to target that timber area. That has come very close to striking Dunn there as well to get out of the way of it coming off the bando.
Better than two. Worse than last, better than two.
Giddins is now just 2 points away from the second set. 2 chases to defend. This match is looking a long way away for Philip Dunn, with a big deficit now building for Giddins, and that handicap difference indicating
No, sorry.
Giddins is still the strong favourite, you would imagine.
$15.30, better than.
Dunn does well there. Picking up that railroad, not quite tight enough. Giddins not covering the court well enough to cut it off. Better than 2 chase now. And that is a much better railroad. It's very, very tight. Difficult to do anything with that. And it is now set point to Rory Giddins.
$30.40.
Second set point.
That is game.
That is not over.
Second
Rory
set,
Giddins takes the second set, 6 games to 1. He is in cruise control now as we start the third set. Remember, British Amateur is best of 5 sets, so Giddins just needs one more to make the semi-finals. Dunn needs to win all 3 remaining sets. We saw in the earlier match this evening, when we got to the 4th set in that case, just how demoralizing it was to be so far behind.
Last gallery, 15 love.
With credit to Dunn, he was 2 sets down in his preliminary round match. Those sets were just a little bit closer than the ones we've had tonight.
40 love. Jay's last gap.
Right, let's have a look at the stats from that set. "27 minutes for that set. A little bit more even on those points won. We're now 2-3. I think that is fairly reflective of a handicap difference of 8, as we have with us today.
Lost it. 15-40.
Dunn continues with this drag that we've seen the whole way through this match, firing a few wild high serves.
First game, 1 love.
Really like to see if Dunn had any other serves in that locker of his.
Out of court. 15 love.
Just a way to change up the strategies here. Very much feels like a serve that he's just happy to put it in play.
15 all.
That's a better length of serve. It put Rory under pressure really for the first time. It's just a shame that the second ball that it hit just had so much spin on it.
30, yeah. 30-15. I got it.
That's just the kind of pressure that you can be put under
30-15.
if your serves are not tight. So we're going to go back to the high serve. The high serve will, if it's that high drop, will invite that backhand rally, which I still don't think is necessarily wise. That tends to be Rory's strength.
Half a yard worse than 6, 30 all.
I think with Rory, you really need to be able to bring a bit more of a power game. I don't think it's something that really Philip has fully developed.
One chase.
It's always interesting in real tennis just how the varying styles come up against each other. Seems like sometimes a big game of rock, paper, scissors. Strategy A can beat strategy B. Strategy B can beat strategy C. But then strategy C beats strategy A.
40-30 receiver, half a yard worse than 6 yards.
So many different ways that you can win points in this game. It's not just one failing style.
Oh. Juice. Advantage, server.
Philip's style seems very much to be let the ball, just put the ball in play and just let the rally pan out and wait for the opponent to make a mistake. But when you're playing opponents of Rory's caliber, that mistake is rarely coming.
That's game 2, games to love.
Just like that, we are to love here in the third set. Definitely shaping up to be an earlier night than last night's 6.5 hour epic across 2 matches. Rory again there being his own harshest critic. You'd think being 2 sets to love up, you'd be a bit kinder on yourself, but just needs to get the job done now.
Last gallery, better than the door, last gallery.
Doesn't really need to change up anything. It all seems to be working well for him in that next round against either Medlow or Douglas. You'd still expect Giddins to need to, especially if he's playing Douglas, the second seed. He will need to reduce that unforced error count.
15 all, chase the last gallery.
See a railroad from Dunn for the first time after that long chase. Again, not the best railroad, so he's sticking with that drag. This might just sneak over. Yeah, and Giddins puts away well. Yeah, so Douglas will bring a bit more power to the game. The ball will be travelling around that little bit faster. If you're making a lot of unforced errors, that can be dangerous because you have less time than you are perhaps used to.
30 all.
So that's something that Giddins will really need to look at as he goes into the semi-final, should he follow through and win this match.
40-30.
It was something that troubled him in the doubles as well last night.
Hazard. Worse than one.
So that's that shorter drag. That's come off the penthouse onto the back corner of the winning gallery. And it's gone out for a hazard. That is very almost an ace serve into the winning gallery, but not quite enough swerve on it through the air. Giddins does well. That was off the bando. Chases it down, and we are 3-love to Giddins now. This set running away from Philip Dunn.
15 love. Shot. 15 all. Last gallery, 15 all. Shot. 30-15.
And that is just class from Rory Giddins. That's what you dream about on the practice court. Pulling out of that corner, hitting that neat shot perfectly underneath the grill. He does it a second time as well.
Last gallery.
That's the perfect shot that you imagine that you're hitting a million times in practice. Just being able to bring that out into the match play. Great stuff from the younger Giddins.
Chase the last gallery.
So last gallery chase now.
30-40.
That one just tickles the net tape, going over the higher part of the net, not able to get it over.
Juice.
And that's a better length serve from Dunn on that drag, forcing Giddins to boast his way out of trouble. That drag just takes one too many bounces. If Giddins is boasting on that drag, it just means after that boast, the ball takes that little bit of the pace off of it, and it should be easier in theory on that second stroke just to bring some pace to the ball. Aim for that grill. Aim low on that timbre.
Worse than 3.
Again, that bubble serve is long as well. You give Giddins any width, he's pushing you both sides of the court. So worse than 3 chase coming up here.
Receiver's advantage, worse than 3.
What will Giddins do now? He's just gone down into the corner again. That's
Okay.
won the chase, and
2-3.
Philip Dunn is on the
1-3.
board. And it's the second
1-3.
time we've seen Rory Giddins
1-3.
on his backside this
1-3.
match, chasing the ball into the corners. One wonders if he goes through to the semi-final and will be under that little bit pressure, the ball that little bit faster. How he's going to cope maintaining that balance.
15 love.
And that backhand, that's that perfect shot that Giddins loves.
30 love. Love. Last gallery, 40 love.
I haven't on social media seen any real tennis cards coming out for any of the players in the British Amateur this year yet. Well, I might imagine that's because we're still in the early rounds. They might still be coming for the finalists as we get there. But it'd be great to see some of the opinions on how some of these top amateurs are and how they rank up in the real tennis cards against some of the top professionals that we've seen the cards be developed for so far.
Worse than 4. 15,
If you don't know what I'm talking about, head on over to Instagram and check out Real Tennis Cards. Go see profiles for all the players and some of their playing statistics and rankings. If you want more detail on that, do check out the A View from a Hazards podcast.
40-15 server.
That is run by Robert Shakeman and Ben Taylor Matthews. They did an interview with Real Tennis Cards a few weeks ago. That is available on YouTube and Spotify. Almost falling down the corner again there. Manages to keep his footing, but doesn't get the point. There's still chance here for 4-1 now.
Game.
And the railroad is good enough.
1-4-1.
Giddins just 2 games away from that maiden British Amateur semi-final.
Less than 1 yard. Double.
That might be one of the best shots that Phillips played against Giddins' railroad so far this match. Yeah, this has been just a little bit long. Oh, that's fantastic by Giddins. Goes up and takes that before it can get to the main wall. It's perfectly places it underneath the grill. 15 love Giddins. So 2 shortish chases here for Philip to defend. As he tries to increase his game count across the course of this match. Imagine that no matter what the game count is, this will be a null result on RTO. Handicap difference greater than 6. It's about 8 between these two.
15 all, worse than 4.
That one just a little bit low, aiming for the dead on. Loses the chase. It's almost his best drag of the day. Just a little bit too close to that bando for the marker's liking.
Chase off, worse than 4. 15 all.
So if it hits the bando on the way down, having not previously touched the sidewall, it is a fault. It has to touch the sidewall. That wouldn't have been a fault.
Better than 3.
Giddins just has so many options on that deeper drag. That the one just before, there was a shorter drag. Giddins had to boast it, and it was loopy enough such that Philip could step forward with the volley. That's what he really needs to look to do with that drag. Just bring it back just a little bit. Whether that's to make it a little bit loopier or just to target the penthouse a little bit shorter. It just looks too easy for Giddins to be playing. Last gallery chase now.
30-15, receiver better than 3.
I think Rory Giddins might, in his mind, be already off in the change room. So just focus now and close out this match. That takes a nasty little extra bounce off the penthouse. A hand raised in apology from Rory. And that's just the point that Rory loves, that backhand to backhand. He will take that all day.
Game.
That's a bit unfortunate for Philip. I thought he had Rory beat down the corner. It just skids around the bottom edge of that service side penthouse and just dies in that nick. 1 game away from a semi-final place now.
Last gallery. Double. Low.
Just a calm kill shot there from Giddins. No real pressure on him. It doesn't feel the need to have to make anything happen. Just let the points roll in at this point.
Last gallery, second gallery, 15 low.
So the dying moments of this match, just a reminder that there will be more tennis coming up across the rest of the week. We'll have the remaining 2 singles quarterfinals for you tomorrow evening. That will be Rory's older brother Jamie Giddins against Ben Yorston, and James Bedlow against Jamie Douglas. That will be tomorrow evening. And the singles semi-finals will be one on Thursday evening and one on Friday evening.
Love.
And then
Second gallery.
That all leads into the doubles final on Saturday afternoon and the singles final on Sunday afternoon.
White. Better than second.
That's just snuck over.
40 love.
Rory again framing that one, but just had enough on it. It is now match point to Rory Giddins. He has 3 match points and looks like it is going to happen, if not now, then very soon.
Better than 6.
Yes, a reminder, there is plenty of tennis coming your way. Do check the Tennis and Rackets Association website for all the latest information on the draws and the timings, and to check any results. Do go there.
40 love server,
be
better
up to
than
date
6.
And ready for you. Right, still match point. Chase better than 6.
Second serve. Lost it. Game set.
And that's in the galleries. That does not beat the chase. And Rory Giddins makes his first British Amateur semi-final. He wins that one at 6-2, 6-1, 6-1. Handshakes there with the marker, Neil McKenzie. What a fabulous job he has done over the last 2 days. So we'll take a look one last time tonight at the statistics from the match. Yeah, 1 hour and 21 minutes. And a fairly dominant match. Those points won almost, well, definitely 2-1, approaching 2-1 rather. And Rory still managed to find plenty of openings across the course of the match. So that is all from us tonight here at the Queen's Club. It has been a pleasure having you with us, and do join us tomorrow night for the continuation of the singles quarterfinals of the British Amateur 2024. Good night.